Can you give ideas? That's important. So, looking at yesterday's work, you should have gone through a self-edit. Now, if you went through the self-edit, there should be highlighted areas. Some of you asked really good questions of like, do I need to circle? Make sure you're reading the full instructions that'll tell you to highlight. It's great that you asked questions. This hour was very good about that, making sure you knew exactly what to do. Outstanding. If you did find a way to circle, that's also okay. All right. But highlighting was definitely easier. If you get a document today that's not highlighted, did they go through a self-edit? No, because everyone should have it highlighted. Yes, I know that means that you capitalize the start of a sentence and pretty much the end of every sentence, not capitalize. You highlighted the beginning of every sentence and highlighted the end of every sentence. I know that took some time. I appreciate that. But what it does do, and a lot of people were able to point this out, especially in my advisory, they talked about it a great deal, and my advisory can attest to it. They talked about how they were repeating the start of their sentences quite often. And that makes it for difficult reading. Okay, that's how you can lose a reader with your storyline. If you're able to change up the start of your sentence, that means you're changing the variety of the sentence. That was a problem habitually we've had, right? That a lot of you start your sentences very simply and with the same context, with the same words. That's okay to do in your rough draft. When you do your self-edit and when you do a peer edit, that's when you can make those changes, because I want you to get the ideas down and then change them and improve them as you go through. Does that make sense? As you guys did your self-edit, was there anyone that as they were going through started noticing they had habits that they think they need to break, or habits when they're writing that seem to even distract you from understanding or make the story move slow? Anyone read their story and go, oh Lord? You're saying it's not very good? Is that what you said, Claire? Okay, so there is a little bit of natural skill when it comes to writing. I don't disagree with that. But it doesn't mean that you can't improve it. And today is a good way to do that. Okay, so on today's assignment, now that you've taken it through a self-edit, or I hope you have, I know that more in this hour went through a self-edit than in other hours. If you've gone through a self-edit, now it's time to go through a peer edit. So you're actually going to have one of your counterparts, and they don't even have to be in this hour, okay? And maybe one of our Blue Jays at home have already emailed you to maybe switch with them as well. You don't need to move towards them. You don't need to move your desk. You can converse even across the room if you need to be. If you want to move a little bit closer, you can. But as you first read through the activity, you don't have to move, because you're going to be reading the activity and then actually going through or taking their information and taking it through the plot charting diagram. Yes. Yes. So, because a lot of you just raised your eyebrows, I wish I could be recording your faces at this moment so that I could see the reactions. This is something I'm changing up even from last year with my editing process. And the reason being is that instead of going through just a checklist and hoping things are getting done, we can actually go through and check to make sure you have an exposition, that you have a rising action, that you both agree where the climax occurred at, because that's an important thing for the reader to understand, and that's your job as a writer to help them understand. Then once you have the climax, then there should be a falling action. A lot of times what happens with writing, especially at this level, is that you hit the climax, and then you just go, oh, everything's done, everyone's happy, blah, 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 we're finished, right? And then they lived happily ever after is the cliche way to end things, or to simply just write the end. One, you should never end a paper or anything you're writing with the end. Okay, one, it's a little bit cliche. Two, it normally doesn't fit into your story. Okay, but you're going to go through this process with one of your peers. As some of you have already said, maybe you're not as confident about your writing, okay? And I will tell you, this hour is more confident and should be more confident than my other hours because you guys are fairly decent writers. You are. And you continue to get better at writing because you're going to go through the process to make sure it happens. Hold on just a second, Alex. If you go over your 2-page limit at this part, that's fine. Don't just be adding to be adding, though. Add to clarify what it is you're saying, and not clarify like Claire clarifies. Clarify like C-L-A-R-I-F-Y. Clarify. I thought I said the wrong letter. Make sure that you're going through this and pinpointing where you can carry your story through that plot charting diagram. Questions, concerns, general venting. Alex, what's up? You can't do the peer edit until you do the self-edit. No one else is doing your work for you because here's the deal. If you go through the self-edit, you're going to find places where you didn't add punctuation, where you can make little tweaks. That's why I gave you a 30 to 35-minute activity to go through, okay? And I know it was about that time because as soon as I posted it, there were several of you that emailed me to get started. And then once you finish, you emailed me to have me go in and check and see where it was at. You were about 30 to 35 minutes that it took you to go through the self-edit. Is that about right? Or am I hallucinating? Possibly, maybe you didn't use your time well in other days and it caught up to you. That's okay as well. Because that also happened in here because you were given 2 days for your rough draft, a day for your self-edit, and then you'll have a day for your peer edit. Okay, so it all works out that if maybe we didn't do everything on certain days, it feels like we're having to do more in one, but it's because we didn't do work in the other day. That's how it works. Catches up to you. Jace, what's up?
For myself, I just took the 32 or whatever, and I copy and paste it on a thing for the 33. So then I can fix stuff on the 33. So you can go back and look at like each one and see what's different. I didn't know about the highlights.
So you want me to go ahead and change my directions for you since you didn't follow the directions? I'm not saying you didn't go through a self-edit, but maybe you didn't follow. Did you go through the step-by-step process it walks you through?
I just changed the stuff on
Okay. I think I understand what you're saying. I'll take a look at it and let you know. Any other questions, concerns? You do or they do? Well, you've already read it, hopefully. So someone else has to read your paper and then take it through. Yes, there are highlights in there. They should also see, you should also see the highlights in theirs. Once we do our final draft, you won't have to worry about the highlights. It's almost like I gave you 30 to 35 minutes to do it yesterday.
almost like I said to you guys